Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Amber. Today we are going to be talking about all the books that I have read in September, and we're going to go by dates that I read them, so the ones that I read first. And the first one was Twisted Games by Anna Huang. This is the second book in the Twisted series. I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, which huge redemption from the first book for me. I gave that one, I believe, like a 2.5 or 3 star. It was fairly low for me. I didn't really care for that book. I liked her writing style. That's what kept me going through the series. I just didn't like the story itself. I hated the main male character love interest. Hated him. Anytime that he did anything, it just... This one, you're following Reese Larson, who is the bodyguard to the Princess Bridget. So through this, you're following them. It is like an enemies to lover. Her brother ends up abdicating the throne so that he can marry a airline stewardess that he met, and so she ends up becoming next in line to become queen, and they have a law that states that she has to be married in order to be queen. And so she is being forced to marry somebody who they deem worthy of being married to a queen, and meanwhile her and Reese are falling in love. They can't be together. Forbidden romance, enemies to lovers, slow burn. Reese Larson is perfection. If you have not picked up this book, I highly advise you to, because it is so good. If you didn't like Twisted Love, give this one a chance, because I did not like that one, and I absolutely love Twisted Games. Oh, Twisted Games is also Kindle Unlimited. This next one is also Kindle Unlimited, and that is Death's Obsession by Avina St. Graves. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I liked it. I just wasn't, like, in love with it. It's not one that's gonna... There's, like, key moments that are gonna stick with me, but the book overall isn't gonna stick with me. So the synopsis to this is: he's coming for you. Death is meant to come on a chariot of broken dreams or in the dark trenches of storm, not in love letters and gifts. He did not take my soul when I was meant to die. He did not want it all the other times that I've offered it to him on a silver platter. Yet, time and time again, he reminds me that I am his night monster, his dark love, his perfect other. Death is the only thing keeping me alive. He watches me from his corner, taunts me with sweet messages, marks my body with his touch as I sleep. He took the people that I love away from me. Still, no one believed me when I said I saw the faceless man on the night of the accident. No one can escape death. Me, I'm chasing it. Also, I'm pretty sure I took a picture of it. The dedication to this is 100% what got me. To the girls who think that the Grim Reaper will fuck like a god. If you're looking for a more, like, smutty book that's shorter, like, I'm pretty sure this book only took me, like, 2 hours to read. If even. Yeah, it's only 178 pages on Kindle, so... If you're looking for a Kindle Unlimited book that's pretty quick, that is centered on the Grim Reaper, I would definitely go for it. Next up, we have Foxglove by Adeline Grace. This came out last month. I immediately picked it up right when it came out. This is the second book in the Belladonna series, the first book being Belladonna. So this one, you're still following Signa, Death, and Blythe. And there is one new character in this, but I'm not going to talk about him. I don't want to spoil anything about it. But just know that I was obsessed with Death in the first book, and he is a strong contender for my new favorite. So, there was like a couple things that I guessed, but it wasn't like me guessing them from the start. It was just like I started reading into the subtle hints that were happening throughout the book, and I was like, I think this is where it's going to go. And a couple of the things I was right on, but there's still things that happened at the end of this that I just was not expecting at all. So I'll read the back of this. It's Never had she seen this man, yet she knew who he was the moment his molten stare pressed into her. With his gaze, the haze of lights dimmed, and the panicked screams of partygoers dulled, ebbing away until they were little more than a distant hum. While death's grip on her tightened, Signa found that she could not turn to look at him. The man who called himself Fate consumed her, and by the slice of a smile on his lips, he knew it. So I guess since the synopsis brings it up, Fate is the new character, but obviously you get nothing about him, no hint, no nothing, so might just be my new favorite character. If you haven't picked the series up yet, it's like a gothic fantasy vibes to it. It is very good. I highly recommend this series. I gave this, I don't remember if I said what I gave the rating. I gave it 4.25 stars. Really liked it, super enjoyable, recommend it, especially for fall. The next book that I read was The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Penaranda. This one I gave 3.75 stars, and I did go more in depth in this in like the reading vlog that I did. I liked this book, but I mainly think that the main male character, Knight, carried it for me. I felt like there were a lot of scenes in this that reminded me of like really popular fantasy books, which, like I said before, I know that the more fantasy books you read and the more that are published, the more things are going to start kind of like clustering together and becoming similar. But I just felt like they were very similar. And it wasn't just like one scene, it was multiple. And so it kind of like anytime that would happen, it kind of took me out of the book and made me think about that book. So that kind of like ruined the whole like me being sucked into the book. I didn't mind the female main character. There was nothing really wrong with her, but nothing also stuck out about her to me. Like I said, Knight with his banter and sarcasm and being the shadow-wielding anti-hero that I'm obsessed with in every book. Like, the second that showed up, okay, sold. I feel like I kind of read, like, hyped up reviews on it, and it made me kind of anticipate this being a higher scored book. If you're looking for a new fantasy romance with the main male character that I described, slow burn, enemies to lovers, you're following Estrella, who was like saved by a guy, and he's royalty, but I don't remember, like, he's not the king, but I don't remember what they call them. But anyway, he like saves her, and she can't remember anything but like small bits and pieces from the last 5 years of her life. But she worships this man, and that part I hated. It reminded me of Guild, and like I said, I really did not like the first book in Guild. I'm going to continue the series, but I don't like that about the character. Trigger warnings also, there is like abuse in this, like physical abuse and emotional abuse, like hardcore emotional abuse. So if that is a sensitive subject for you, be very cautious going into this if you do still pick it up. It's mainly in the beginning, but there are like bits and pieces later on in the story too. But anyway, like I said, she like worships this guy. But then she runs into Knight, who is the main male character in this. So they end up making like a bargain that she's going to help him, and in return he will help her. But then she realizes that the guy who like saved her wasn't holding her captive just for her own safety, and it kind of just like spirals from there. I think the plot was good. I liked where the story ended up going. It just didn't quite hit that 4-star mark for me. Our next book was Autumn's Tithe by Hannah Parker. This one I ended up giving 4 stars. This is for some because the Fae promised to deliver them to the beautiful fairy realm, for Larkin because her closest friend was chosen the previous year. She tries to accept her fate until she discovers that her friend is in danger and the promise of eternal joy amongst the Fae could be a lie. Larkin breaks the sacred covenant between humans and Fae and enters the fairy realm to find her friend. Her only ally is Finder, a fairy prince of the Autumn Court, who now owes her a debt after she unwittingly saves his life. Their bond is both the key to her survival and possibly her downfall. Underneath the glittering facade of the fairy realm sees the shadowy pact write in blood, betrayal, and lust for power at any cost. A tithe must be paid by each of the courts of Erodian. Both Finder and Larkin's people face retribution if the tithe goes unpaid. and their bond could destroy the foundation of the courts in the human world forever. So this one, I really liked the main male character. I liked the female main character too. I thought the plot was really good. I liked where this story went. There were things that happened that I did not expect at all towards the ending. This is part of a series. The next one is going to be part of a trilogy. The next one is Autumn's Traitor. So the second one's already out. That came out last year, the end of last year. You get her going with the main male character, Finder, but he also has like 3 of his like companions or whatever that they're traveling with, and I loved all of them. I thought that she did a very good job at writing like their like chemistry, connections, the way that they interact with each other. I absolutely loved it. There was one part that had me crying. So this book had me laughing, crying, on the edge of my seat. I definitely recommend it. Honestly, I put 4 stars here, but I kind of feel like that's not really... I lied. I put 4.25. That's more fitting. Like I said before, my scale has gotten like super particular. In my head, it all makes sense. But I highly recommend this, especially now for this time of the year. This is like very faintly, when I say very faintly, I mean like it gives very mild ACOTAR vibes, but I truly think that is only because the main character with like his companions kind of remind me of the Bat Boys in a very faint sense. Like, I wouldn't compare them to them at all. It just kind of gives you like that family bond, like brothers that aren't really blood related vibes. And then also like the courts are all based on seasons. So you have like the spring court, the autumn court, the summer court, and the winter court. So that's really about it. That reminds me of ACOTAR. But if you liked ACOTAR, I definitely recommend picking this up because I did really enjoy this. Then last but not least, one of my favorite books of all time now, Divine Rivals. I read this on Kindle Unlimited, and this gets 5 stars. I finished this yesterday. At the time that this video releases, it'll be 2 days ago that I read this. But I'm not over this book. It got me out of my reading slump, only to put me back in my reading slump. And it's going to live rent-free in my head forever. The cliffhanger that this ends off in has me dying. I need the next book to come out now, not December. I'm obsessed with this book. I kept thinking one thing was going to happen and the polar opposite would happen. How I thought the book was going to end is not how the book ended. Part of it. I did guess a little bit, but I literally didn't guess it until like 2 chapters before it ended. And then I was like, hold on. That line right there that you just wrote, you got me messed up if that's how you're going to end it. And that is exactly how it went. So I loved both the main characters. Absolutely loved them. Enemies to lovers. I love a good enemies to lovers. Her writing too, like I was absolutely obsessed with the way that she wrote this book. And it's probably one of the most unique fantasy books that I've ever read. And I genuinely don't know if I'll ever read another one like it. Everything just flowed so well. I was so sucked into this book that like the second I had to put it down to go do something, I was just thinking about it the whole time and how I couldn't wait to get back to it. Please pick that up if you haven't. It was so good. It's not like your standard fantasy book whatsoever. And like I said, it's one of the most unique ones. I'll read the synopsis on that because I have with every other one. When 2 young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods to seal their fate forever. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again, but 18-year-old Iris Winnow just wants to hold her family together. Her mother is suffering from addiction, and her brother is missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door, where they vanish into the hands of Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. When he anonymously writes Iris back, the two of them forge a connection that will follow Iris all the way to the front lines of battle. For her brother, the fate of mankind, and love. Shadow and Bone meets lore in this epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak, and the unparalleled power of love. 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. But those are all 6 of the books that I read in September. My October TBR video is out now. Will I be following that? We'll find out at the end of next month. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. It helps tremendously on my videos. And please subscribe to stay up to date with all of my future videos. I hope to see you in the next one.